Good evening, everybody. This is GrandDungeonDad here again with another video on Ultima Online UO, or I'm sorry, Ultima Online or UO Outlands, specifically the Outlands shard. Um, I got some pretty good engagement on the last video that I did, got plenty of views, and I wanted to kind of do another video. Again, I'm really dumping all of the time that I have into this game right now. They've been making a lot of changes recently, some of them very positive, some of them kind of to be expected. So I've been just playing the game, trying to develop my character. I just unlocked my 10th link on this character today. I know I talked to you guys a little bit last time about mastery chains and how that process works, but we didn't go into it in depth. We kind of went through codexes a little bit, but we didn't really go into that necessarily in depth. I kind of just did an overview of what starting your character out was like, and I will now have to do a completely new video to show all the new stuff for creating a character in Outlands, because Outlands character creation just got a whole lot better, a whole lot easier for all of you out there, and it's just hopefully it's going to bring a lot more folks to the game. I think that was kind of the point. Um, so I'm just going to restock some potions here. This is my house. This is my storage shelf where I have all my resources, mats, materials. It's pretty sparse, as you guys can see. I can pretty much just keep what I need to go to the dungeon and maybe do a little bit of PvP from time to time. And we're going to go through this character a little bit. I have my skills scroll open so you guys can kind of see. And I have a very non-standard loadout. Skills loadout, links loadout, all of it, as you guys can probably see as well. So, and right now it's a little bit wonky anyway, different than what it normally would be. But basically, when I started playing this game, um, when I start to play any game, I try to find like the hardest thing I can possibly do for myself and then do it. I have this really bad personality trait, and I don't know what it is, but I don't like to take the easy way in any game that I play, or even what necessarily works. I want to try something weird, uh, with like quirky, different, and make it my own. That is my goal when I come at a game. I want to explore the creative options in that game and then make something work for me that nobody else is doing. And that's kind of what I've been doing with this character. And it's been difficult. I mean, I've kind of done a lot of theory crafting and a lot of just playing with things without trying to use any of the standard builds that are already kinks worked out, already put together, skills templates made, links template is there. You can walk through on a lot of these. If you go online, you can find a lot of these cookie cutter builds. You can ask people in game. That's another really good thing to do, is ask around what's hot, what works. There's a really good Discord. If you guys jump into Outlands, you definitely want to get into the Outlands Discord. And I'm not sure if, okay, so my recorder's not showing that. Let me see if I can switch to that window. Let's see. I can bring up UO. It's not going to let me. Is it going to let me? Hold on. Yes, it is. Okay. So let's jump back into it here. Okay, so I'm in Discord. And this is the UO Outlands Discord here. Right now they have this event called the Stalag Grotto that's going on. That's what this is. It's the Survival PVM event. It will be switching to a PvP event eventually. But for right now, it's PVM. They just did an update to get ready for the PvP event to a new client, so that's here. So basically, I guess the whole reason I was jumping into here is just to show you guys, you can go through the Discord here and get all the latest, right? All the latest patch notes, the stuff that drops with everything, like what's changing, what's staying the same. Most of that's covered in the patch notes. Not everything. Sometimes you'll discover things that they've done that I've not necessarily put notes out on. So there's some really good channels in here for like new players. They kind of go. There's a lot of question and answer that goes on in here. You can definitely put questions in here, and people will answer, just like they're doing right now. Template builds. If you go in here, people will go through kind of like a full layout of a build, and they'll show their skills and like what their stats are. And people are pretty creative. There's some really good. Another thing, this is a screen grab from Outlands Butler. That's an online resource that's really good. It's not one that I use a ton, but sometimes to set up my templates, I use it a bit. It's a great way to like put different skills in and see what happens, see what they do. And I should preface all of this and say that by no means is my template that I have right now optimized for either PvE or PvM. And I just as a preface to any comments and to give some context for how I built my guy, because I'm sure you guys are going to see it and you're going to be like, what is this guy trying to do? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'll show you. But anyway, you can go through in this Discord and in all these different little channels. There's places to sell stuff. There's tips and tricks on ships, PvP on the water, PvM on the water, all kinds of stuff. There's even a casino channel. So there's all kinds of stuff. So check it out. Definitely check out the UO Outlands Discord, which you can easily get once you're in the game. Now I have a couple other Discords that I go to as well. If you play Outlands, you're going to get familiar with Pwnstar pretty quick. He's pretty much like the big streamer. He does some videos. One of the irritating things about his channel, at least for me, is I see a lot of stuff is not updated consistently. He used to do a lot more walkthroughs, and most of the ones he has are pretty out of date. So if you're going out there looking for content on this game and looking for walkthroughs, just understand that one of the reasons I started doing videos is the content's not updated very frequently from a lot of content creators. So you can't really see a lot on Outlands necessarily that's more than just like Pwnstar, for example, running around the dungeon stealing stuff from people. And he does like his live stream where he's running around grabbing stuff, and he's not a bad guy. He's kind of fun to watch, but he does irritate you if you happen to be the one he's taking stuff from. But he's a character, right? And his content that like was like useful and educational is not as prevalent on his channel anymore. It's not as the content he does now is more just gameplay sessions. So that's kind of just the gist. We're gonna switch back to Outlands. Apologize for the drop there as I'm switching between screens. But so this is my shelf. I have my loadout kind of set up. I am an archer by trade, by skill in the game. It's what I enjoy doing. So we'll just kind of go into the build a little bit, I guess. So my character build is really weird. This is what I'm currently running for skills. So I have alchemy 80. I have animal lore 120. Animal taming 120. I am a tamer of sorts. I have no herding in my build, which is extremely strange because herding and vet and animal lore and animal taming all add damage to your pets. All of them on this server add damage to your pets. So, not to mention with better vet, you can heal better. A bunch of different things. There's a bunch of advantages for tamers. If what you want to run is a PvM tamer, you want all four of those to 120, in my opinion. If you're just out here to do damage, PvM, that's your goal, and you want to be a tamer, that should be your focus, is maximizing your pet potential, maximizing your pet damage. Essentially, I've got like a half build here for taming, and there's good reasons for that, and I'll go into it. But Basically, this build is for the whole concept behind this build is a sleeper tamer. So the idea is I'm in the dungeon, I'm doing my own thing, I'm doing my farming, and I can farm adequately with this build. May not be as fast as my pure tame build, pure tame Dexter build that I've got, but it's fast enough. And some red asshole is going to come up to me and try to take my loot, take my stuff, and leave me dead on the floor in the dungeon. And the whole point of this build is so when that asshole opens up on me, if I'm looking for that, I'm ready for it, and I'm running the right pets, um, he's gonna have a fucking hard time, pardon my French, if I don't just drop him myself and take his stuff and leave him on the floor, and then he can't come back to the dungeon for 20 minutes and he's sad. So, uh, or no, it's not 20 minutes. I can't. I think they're out of the dungeon basically for a while. If they have another red, they'll probably just jump on their other red. But regardless, it takes that red character out. So the whole point of the build is to look like I'm just PVMing, doing my thing. If somebody comes at me, I'm gonna wreck them. Okay, that's what I'm trying for. And I'm not the best at PvP yet. I'm working in my way up. But this is my build. So basically, I have alchemy at 80, so I can use the codex. I have animal art 120, animal taming at 120, so I can have the best pets to use in PvP. I have magery at 35 so that I can 100% of the time cast telekinesis and 100% of the time cast weaken. And I can cast weaken 100% of the time, I think, from the book. I'm not sure if I can do it with telekinesis. I typically use scrolls just to be on the safe side for telekinesis. Resisting spells I have at 40. Resisting spells is good in both PVM and PvP. And PvP, you have a chance to resist a portion of the damage. And then in PVM, you get something called Spell Siphon, which you guys can see up here in the buffs bar. And what Spell Siphon does is it gives you a attack speed increase. I think it gives you, well, you know what? Let's look it up because I do not remember. And I do not want to give you guys bad information like I did the other night. So let me take a quick look at the wiki. And I believe this is still up to date for Spell Siphon. So we'll go to that real quick. Ow, I just had a mosquito draining my arm a second ago. I didn't realize it. Let's go to resisting spells. Yeah. So Spell Siphon in PVM. First time a player is hit by a spell from any creature or player, every 5 minutes they receive a Spell Siphon effect that applies bonuses against creatures for 60 minutes. Does not stack. If a player is hit with further spells while having Spell Siphon bonus active, the duration will not be renewed. So it's every 60 minutes. And it lasts for 60 minutes. Player will receive a Your Spell Siphon bonus has expired notification after 60 minutes have passed. The bonuses for having an active Spell Siphon effect are as follows and affect PVM only. Here we go. Swing speed increased by 10%. 10% times effective magic resist skill divided by 100. So in my case with 40, it would be 10% times 40 divided by 100. So it'd be, I believe, 40%, if I'm not mistaken, if you do the math. But yeah, so it's not, or 4% maybe, I don't know. It's not great, is what I'm saying. It's not going to be, if you really want good spell resist, you want, or no, swing speed. I'm sorry, swing speed increase. You know what? I can straight up tell you. Give me just a minute here. My brain can't math tonight. Let's see. I have the bonus on right now. If I go to help and I go to player stats, swing speed bonus is 4%. Okay, so I was doing the math right. All right, so it's 4%. not 40, 4% from magic resist. You can get another 5% from delectable food on this shard. So typically I'll do delectable food as well, and I'll get that bonus. Your aspect gives you a massive accuracy and tactics bonus. Does not affect swing speed, but the tactics bonus does affect, you get an accuracy bonus and tactics bonus from the aspect. So plus 32% for me. So my current accuracy is 84% against mobs. But you guys can see, if you're watching, you can see the bonuses that I've got there. So those are my current bonuses against mobs. Let's see. Other stuff to cover. Where were we? Resisting spells. Okay. So you get a mana refund chance increased by 4%, looks like. Same thing. And then damage resistance increased by 4%. So you get a few bonuses, small bonuses for having a little bit of resist. Not great, but it helps a little bit. And it gives you the same swing speed bonus that focus at the same level would give you. So in my opinion, the spell resist right now, the way spell resist works on this shard is actually better for swing speed than focus, because you get additional benefits from it, from the spell siphon proc. So that's spell siphon. That's why I have the resist. Also, resist is useful in PvP. I have parry at 80%. So it's not showing in here. It should be. It looks like it got moved. Where is it? Where did it get moved to? I'm not sure. Where did it go? There it is. Why is it in trade skills? It doesn't belong there. Sometimes the skills tab can get really messed up. I try to keep all the skills I have in the same little drop down. There we go. So on this build, I have parry at 80%. And that's very useful for fighting players. It's also very useful for resisting damage from mobs, physical damage, and spell damage, because you get some really cool abilities in the codex. Again, the codex abilities do not apply to PvP, but it's good for PvM, for survivability. Which, I don't know, it's debatable for PvM just because as an archer, you really shouldn't be getting hit by mobs very often. But for PvP, having parry at 80 is really good. So that's kind of the basic setup there. I want to be able to throw potions on people, which is why I have alchemy at 80. Archery's at 85. Archery could probably be a little higher. One thing I might do is drop my magery down another 5 points and bring my archery up a little bit, just to try to increase the advantages. Also, probably going to be running with an Averwood bow when I do PvP. So it'll suck to lose, but I'll have a little bit better advantage for accuracy versus player. Because right now, 42% accuracy with the bow, pretty poor. You know, it's less than 50% of the time versus 100 skill that I'm going to hit somebody. So it's bare minimum, right? It's not great. Weapon damage isn't terrible for a Verawood bow, and would be even better with an Averwood or with a Vank. Vank is pretty good too. So, you know, my armor rating's pretty low. With the current setup, I run pretty low quality plate because I don't want to, you know, lose expensive armor. And the Verawood bows, I've got like 100 of those roughly, so I run something I can replace. But that's kind of my setup. For my followers, right now I'm running a Blood Courser. Blood Coursers are pretty good for the fact that they can literally cause a bleed. Where's the tooltip? Well, probably easier to do that one outside of the menu. So let's look at it outside of the menu. Yeah, so right here, system has a 15% chance on spellcast to inflict damage, max times 1 bleed damage for 15 seconds. It's not much. I think it hits for like, I don't know, 7 damage per second per over 15 seconds, or every 3 seconds, I think it is. So like five ticks essentially. So it's 5 ticks. It's not crazy amounts of damage, but if they're dealing with this and they're dealing with you, that the idea is they're gonna have a harder time dealing with your pets, especially ranged pets. So there's two ways you can go, in my opinion, in PvP with pets and be somewhat effective. One, you can run all ranged spellcasting pets. And if you want to do that, you typically want to have stuff that's also got other advantages. So like this Vault Wisp, which I picked up today in the stables, not fantastic, but not terrible. Decent spell damage, decent wrestling, um, decent attack speed. Not great, decent. He has an ability called Shock. Tooltip for Shock is has a 15% chance on spellcast to deal damage max times 1 damage that ignores armor to the target. Hinders creature for control slots times 1 seconds, or hamstrings player for 2 seconds. Now, if you can get a 2-second hamstring on a player, that's fantastic. It doesn't happen very often, but if you can get it, that's fantastic. Um, so that's one of the reasons I have this, is to support my damage and keep a player kind of on their toes. These Vault Wisps can cast quite a bit of spells, and they're pretty destructive. Same thing with the Blood Courser. The Blood Courser casts really fast, which is nice. So they're pretty good for that. There's a few other combos here that I like. So I could stable these guys. Show you some other stuff. Some other combos that work good in PvP. This guy. This guy. And run a 1 slaughter spell pet with it. So this Colossal Black Widow is nasty. As you can look at my stats, they're pretty ridiculous on this thing. 4.8 attack speed, 9.2 hits, 9.7 melee damage, 6.4 wrestling. So that's base at tier 10, level 10. This thing has 156.4 wrestling, which is not like, honestly, I would love pets to have like 200 wrestling at tier 10, because they still struggle to hit players sometimes. But it's not bad. And this thing has lethal poison, and it has also, on the abilities here, it's got disease, and it's got a pretty powerful disease. 15% chance on attack to inflict damage times 0.5 disease, damage max times 0.5 disease every 5 seconds. So damage max times 0.5 is like, half damage, right? So if you go back to the stats, in at tier 10, it would be, or at level 10, it would be, well, max damage would be 127. So 127 divided in half, you're looking at, what is it, like 60 or something like that? 60 plus 60 is 120, right? Yeah. So 64 damage. Now on a player, it's not going to hit that hard. It's going to hit for a maximum of the damage cap. So if we go back here to the wiki, and we go to skills, and we go to animal taming, followers in PvP, their damage is capped. So let's go see if it's covered in here. Oh, where is it? Where is it? So here's some of the stats. So right here. Now this has changed. This is no longer this way. It has changed somewhat. So, as a general rule of thumb, this is still very close. This damage cap here, capped at inflicting at most 10 damage per control slot. For melee damage, capped at inflicting at most 10 damage per control slot over a 3-second window to individual players in PvP. Ranged spellcasting, capped at inflicting at most 7 damage per control slot over a 3-second window to individual player in PvP. Now this has changed a little bit. So they had a patch in May that they dropped where now follower damage, the caps are now based on your skill level, and the skills that count for that are all 4 of the major skills: animal taming, animal lore, veterinary, and herding. So this is why I said earlier, if you're going to be a pure tamer, for damage, you probably want all 4 of those skills. Now for PVM, it's different. For PVM, there's other reasons, like rezzing your pets, for example, for vet, and damage resistance from hurting. There's other reasons to have those besides just pure damage. But in PvP, a pure tamer's pets are going to do more damage than any others. So I'm sacrificing probably about 20% to 30% of what my pets can do against a player, maybe more, because of my current setup, because I'm sacrificing all the bonus damage I would get from hurting and from full vet and full so from having all 4 of those 120'd. So I'm giving up 120 skill points or so, actually 140, 160 skill points out of that template, out of the pure tamer template with my build. And those are taken out of that algorithm. So my damage cap is lower. At max though, your damage cap for spell casting is like 23, and it's roughly like 22, 23, and it's roughly like 32, I think, for melee right now in 3 seconds. So it's a little better than it used to be. But melee pets still have to hit a player. Now, for the longest time, followers would move at 80% of speed versus a player. So, and I think that's still the case, but it seemed like my pets might be moving a little faster. I don't know if they changed that, but I swear my pets are moving faster than they were before, at least out of combat. I don't know if that's going to be the same against players. I haven't tested that, but it feels like my pets are moving faster. Like they're sticking up with me and my mount almost in town, which before they it was like significantly slower. They're still slower than you, I think, by at least 10%. I'm thinking maybe they changed that players' pets move at 80% speed a little bit, or at least they changed it in town. Again, I don't know if in PvP it's changed at all. Probably they haven't done that yet, but I've been talking with them about changing that because to me, if you're a tamer, you give up so much to go into the dungeon as a tamer with the skill set that you have. And they put all these other caps in place in PvP for you already. It seems to me like the movement speed thing was kind of a unfair advantage for anybody that's red that wants to kill tamers, because they look at tamers and it's like, ooh, a free meal. Currently, with the way tamers are nerfed. Another nerf that's on tamers in PvP, um, they have a 60% reduced chance in PvP to trigger abilities against players. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know what the actual percentage is. I just know it's not like the regular percentage that they're going to hit on a mob. So it's greatly reduced. I think 60% is probably accurate, but I don't know. So, and what that means is if your pet's got a 15% chance to do something, and then it has a 60% chance not to trigger it in PvP, well, you do the math. That reduces that mob's chance down to like what 5-6% to actually apply that. 7% to actually apply that status effect or whatever it is you're trying to get it to go off on the player for it to even proc. Much less hit. It's even to proc. So it's just a really low percentage chance. Now you will get them. Like I web players all the time with that spider, but typically like the 4-slot pets have a better chance of applying their effects just because some of them, a great many of them are based on how many slots a pet is, right? The multiplication is done by slot. So, and now tamed summon followers now have a 25% chance, reduced chance in PvP to use a special ability when attacking a player. Previously was 40%. So it's gotten better, but it's still pretty low. So cooldowns are now increased by 50% against players. So the cooldown time between abilities is increased by 50%. So there's a ton of nerfs to try to make pets more balanced in PvP, and I think they probably went overboard when they implemented these, even though tamers back in the day on this server were ridiculous, is what everybody tells me. Like there was no real balance because tamers were so overpowered, which I can believe. I can believe that's true, but it's definitely not that way today. Today tamers are a free meal usually, which is the whole reason I set this build up, is I wanted to change that. So that's my skills loadout. I just moved one of my skills again that I didn't want to do. Yeah, move parrying again. For some reason I want to keep moving parrying around. Move that back down. That's my skills loadout. And then what else? Let's see. Well, I was going to show you my mastery chain. So let me grab. Oh, I don't want to take my armor off. I really don't. I just want to click on my chain. There we go. Okay. So on this chain that I'm currently wearing, I am playing with some melee aspect effect chance. So I'm trying to up my command proc chance. For actual PvP, I would probably throw all 3 of those slots probably into alchemy, because the higher your alchemy is, the harder your pots hit for, and explosive pots are a huge source of damage on this server. So I would probably throw it all into the alchemy, which would also buff my pets slightly because of the veterinary buff on these. In this current setup, though, I'm also kind of, like I said, I'm doing PVM. So it's kind of a mixed bag with this setup. But yeah, this is a pretty good loadout to PvP with. And if I go to go to my buddy's guild house, I have some scripts kind of set up to make it a little bit easier to do some of this stuff. I have it set up to where I can target, and then I've got weekend macroed on the button. But I gotta wait for my mana because I'm out of mana already. That's the only problem with this setup. You really can only weaken once. And then throw my pot. And I can hit for a pretty good amount with a pot. I don't really want to hit drag too hard. But yeah, I can hit for pretty good damage. The pets hit for pretty good damage in here too, but I don't want to simulate that if he's AFK. I don't want to kill his dude, and I didn't talk to him, so I won't worry about trying to do like a simulated match right now. But yeah, I don't know. The pets hit for, if you look at that 35 damage with a potion, if I hit with the bow for 25, 30 damage, and then I have that web, apply the hinder and the disease and the poison, it's a lot to deal with. I'm not saying this build is anywhere near as good as like a really good mage dropping on you. That's, in comparison, that guy's got a lot more advantages. But the way I have this guy set up, he can kind of PvP a little bit and at least be support in a situation where your group's getting attacked. And he can at least put a pot on somebody. He can do something. He may not be able to win every time, but I can at least put up a bit of a fight. Whereas in my other build, my Echo, where's my Echo? In my Echo, I'm going kind of more of a traditional route. So you guys can see my Echo here. I have 10% magic resist, but it's probably going to go away. I'm probably going to learn the other 10 points into vet and go full animal or herding, animal taming, and veterinary. So in my other build, I'm going to run the 4 primary skills and just have it's a more basic, more static template, right, than what I'm running here. So, but yeah, that's kind of just the difference between the Echo and this guy. And there's just a lot of variation in this game on what you can do. So we can go to the dungeon. I think my timer's off for PvP, yeah. Oh, I don't have enough reagents to do a magic arrow on myself. Do I have enough for a fireball? Oh, I'm fizzling a lot. My magery on this guy is really low. Won't worry about it for right now. And what I said about being obstinate and stubborn is just that's exactly it. I didn't want to be a mage on this character, so I was trying to do stuff, I guess, without as much magery. It's doable, but it's not easy to do. And I'm not even going to say it's advisable to do. It's just what I did. Probably would help if I could get a target on these guys. There we go. Probably help if I have my bow out too. Should have my dress macro set up for that bow, but I don't at the moment. So sometimes you can find people down here. That's my buddy Emperor right there. His character wrote Rouge Death. But I'll show you guys, this is not even a good, this pack that I have is not spec'd right now. I didn't change my codex out, so it's not a very good example of damage, but it'll be what we can do. And probably I'm gonna have to turn aggro on my spider. one thing I don't like about this game is like they need to make it so that you can do codex swaps in the dungeon. Right now I'm not set up, so I have to I'll have to change this on the fly. Beasting, I want breaker. Pierce effects, I don't have pierce on this build. And neither of these guys have pierce, though I think purple has hex. We'll do 3 in that. There's a good one for like, yeah, that's a good one. Opportunity is a good one. That's the one's not that great, but we'll put 1 point in that. And we'll put 1 point in contagion. I don't know if contagion even really, none of that stuff has works against players anyway, but for while we're killing mobs, it does work. The codexes are turned off for PvP. But you can see the damage difference between when it's spec'd and when it's not for mobs. I'm getting a lot of pin cushions tonight. So I'm not trying to fight all this stuff if I don't have to. Probably help if I didn't get stuck on the wall. Put a little bless on these guys. So I have just enough magery to have some of the utility. And with the amount of mana I have, it really doesn't matter. It's more just to have enough to throw a pot or two in PvP than anything else. Ooh, some nice pretty cloth. That's not bad. That's a good loot. A few bucks, I think. We'll throw that in our trap pouch here. Kind of be on the safe side. Easy come, easy go. If we lose it tonight, I'm not too concerned. I don't know why I still do band-aids that way. I have it set up on a key. I just being silly. Oh, duh. That's the other thing. I should have my weapon equip on a key. Guess I could have grabbed that nightshade. Alright. Let's get that poison applied on the other one too. Oh, it's a little slow, but this build is so much more survivable. Now, if I had some food on me, I'd be getting another 5% attack speed, or swing speed. I did not bring any food down here with me. How about you guys? I can never remember to bring everything to the dungeon with me. We'll clear a couple more of these gargoyles and then we'll get out of here. So I think that's probably enough for tonight. I just wanted to show you guys kind of a little running through the dungeon, what that looks like. Next time I play, I'll do some PvP. I'll find an opportunity to do some PvP with this guy. Kind of show you how it works, and just probably just some messing around with my friends more than actual PvP. Other than going into the dungeon and just grabbing some random. You can't always guarantee there's going to be a red around to attack, but if I can find a red, I'll try to pop the recording on so we can get some recording of that. Otherwise, it'll just be me running around looking for folks like I was doing tonight. But not much action tonight. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know if you have any feedback or comments on the build and any suggestions. And I will catch you on the next one. Have a good night, guys.